Dave here. How are you? I hope we're streaming. If someone can pop something up in the chat section to say, yes, coming through loud and clear, that would be fantastic. You notice I'm starting the show slightly differently today. I've decided to start it from the bench rather than sitting down over there in front of the cupboards. Now, why am I doing that? Because I want to get into a demonstration right at the beginning. I've noticed there's a lot of people jump in and watch the show, and after the first minute, I'm losing numbers big time. So I thought it might be an idea for me to show you around a few things first. I will get into what the show is going to be about in about 10 minutes. So first off, I'm going to do a little bit of a demonstration on my Domino. Now, you remember last week, let me see, yes, coming through, excellent, all good. And what do you think of the video quality? Thank you so much to all the patrons of the channel. I went out and bought a new camera. It's all about giving you guys the best experience you can get. This is a very, very, very nice little camera. Didn't cost a fortune, but it was one of those things that because you guys are helping me, I can feed it back and give you a better result. I think the picture is fantastic. I haven't got to muck around with anything. I'm not getting any flickering in the picture. It's just coming through nice and clear. I'm hoping also that, look, the stream will only be able to handle my upload speed. It's not going to be able to give you an ultra 4K resolution. It's only going to be around about 400 to 600 K, however fast it is, a second, whatever. But it's going to be a better picture. What do you reckon, guys? Anyway, now, the Domino. And this is not oh woe is me, I only have an XL. I don't have the 500, and as I've said before, if I was to do it again, I would probably get the 500. But a lot of you wouldn't realize that there's a little guy called a Seneca adapter, and this is called an RTS-500. If you were to go, I'm going to bring it over so you can see it. So if you were to go onto Seneca's website, this little guy here is going to cost you a fortune. But the thing is, that's for Australia, because the shipping's the main cost. This thing converts that big fellow down there to take all of the 500 cutters. And I'm going to demonstrate how that works. And also I'm going to demonstrate a joint using a combination of the Domino and also kreg screws. Last week I did a video on the connectors for the Domino 500. And whilst they do a great job and they're extremely strong, a lot of people have been commenting to me during the week that they still like to use the kreg pocket hole system, and I agree. I think it's a great system as well. Now, for assembly and knockdown, it's going to have limited time using the kreg system because that screw going in and out, coming in and out, it's going to end up destroying the thread, where the Domino's connector system is brilliant. It's not going to destroy the thread. You'll be able to use it time and time and time again. So the first thing I need to do is to take the, I hope you can see it from there. Hey Gary Bummer, okay, you don't look any younger. Oh, come on, Wayne. Down here, anything green in a Domino, I don't know if you can see this little green thing down here. Maybe, maybe not. That's the release. So I can pop that with the spanner and I can separate the head and fence from the machine itself. Now you can see there is a dirty big monster cutter on there. It's probably a 12. The thing comes standard with a 12. On the side here is a green button, and that is a lock. Okay, now Gary, you didn't get back to me. I asked if you would mind if I didn't run your shop today. I'm going to do a little bit on Tim's workshop. I have to make sure that I can get onto there with this spanner. Crack it. Got it. And notice no power connected to it while I'm doing this. This is a router. If people weren't aware, the Domino is a router, and these are router cutters, but they look like a drill. Everyone says, oh, I need a new drill for the Domino. Well, it's a router cutter. Okay, because it oscillates as it goes in to create the mortise. Now I'm going to put the adapter on. You're back from a party, Stuart. I've got a couple of pictures from your workshop this week too. Is the camera, or does Dave have a new shirt? He does have a new shirt, Stuart. You know, those shirts, I'm going to jump off the subject slightly. The shirts that I've had for around about 5 years. And I've still got them, they still work fine. But I was in a store, or Vicky was in a store the other week, and she spotted these and bought one and brought it home. And it was M for medium, I think. I tried it on. I thought, you know, this is going to do it. It hasn't got a pocket. You'll be able to spot if I haven't got a pocket on. And it's the new run. And fine, wore it. It was okay. Put it through the washing machine and dried it. Next thing you know, it's like my grandson Ace, who's 3 years old. It could fit him. Anyway, so I went out and got some XLs. I bought the store out of XLs. So I should be good for another 5 years. So that's an interesting thing about the shirts. It's a brand, you know. People don't recognize me if I'm not wearing the shirt. Not that that's a big drama. Okay, now where are we? I need to tighten that one on. It's the same spanner as the Domino has, as if I'm putting, and I don't tighten it up too tight because the thing's turning towards tightening. Same as on a table saw. Don't tighten the blade on a table saw too much. Everything sits stationary. When the machine turns on, it spins inside that stationary nut. Well, that's what's going to happen here as well. Now, how about I do a 6mm? Let me have a look. Oh, good. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Gary. I'm reading on the side here as we're going along. I love this new camera. Thank you so much. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now I'm going to get, I think I've got some 6mm dominoes here. Where are we? 8x50s, 4x20s, 8x40s, 6x40. Okay. I think I'll use a couple of them. Now, if you're not sure, if you've got dominoes and you're not sure what size they are, they've actually got it stamped. It's very faint, but you can see it stamped onto the cutter. Oh, sorry, onto the domino, this is a slip tenon. And I'm going to get the 6mm out. So I've got, in this little parcel, this is what I was talking about the other day. These are all the cutters you get. Now, you should be able to see them a whole lot better with this new camera. Oh, that's brilliant. There's the 4mm down here. Then you've got a 5, 6, 8, and 10mm. And they'll only ever be able to do 28mm deep. So if you get the 10mm from the XL, they will actually go deeper. So it's a bit of a compromise at the same time, as well as getting you out of trouble. So I'm going to get a 6. Just reading on the side that it is 6. Yes, it is. I'll put that on there. I'm going to do a joint on this MDF. It's 18mm MDF. I've got it all set up on the bench here ready to go because I'm a little bit prepared this week. Now you need to use the smaller spanner for the smaller dominoes, but still lock that in. So I can rotate it until it's in position, and then just a touch, not a lot, just a little touch. Now you'll see something interesting here. See that? It's exactly the same length. I'll bring it over so you can see it. You don't like change, John? Okay. Well, you wear the old shirt and I'll keep wearing the new shirts. Now, this is the Seneca adapter and the 6mm cutter. This is a XL cutter, this one. And you can see it's got flute all the way down because this can cut 70mm deep. These guys will only ever cut the depth that you want them to, which is going to be on that one probably around 20mm. So you can see overall the length is exactly the same. They're very clever. People do these things and we all sit back and go, wow, and you just take it for granted. Well, you know, that's how it happens. Now the other thing that I've done with with the 700 is because it's designed for bigger work, you know, the smallest cutter it has is 8mm. It has 8, 10, 12 and 14mm. Because it's designed for smaller work, it doesn't normally work with things down to around 1/2 inch thick or 12mm. So I made this little plate. Now this was before dummy plates came out. And how I did this, I was talking to someone about this in the store the other day, and they said, well, what do you do? I got a piece of melamine, lo and behold, yeah, more melamine. And what I did was I ran the melamine through the thicknesser, and you can see I've traced around the outside of the plate there, and then I've got 3 small holes through here. Also, I sealed the whole thing with Estopol. I gave it a few coats, sanded in between, because I did not want this to warp or swell or contract or do anything. So it's very, very handy little device. Now those 3 screws I'll bring it back over again so you can see how it fits. I've done this years ago. It's just, I didn't really think anyone would be terribly interested. See these 3 guide points? You look at those and you'll see if you've got a line drawn on the piece of timber you're joining, these ones here are in line with pins. See, if I was to release some of those pins, it would be that pin in the center. See this little pin here? I don't know if you can see it. Well, it's this hole here. I'm trying to look at the camera and also look down at what's happening here and also up on the screen, so if it's monitoring correctly. So this guy drops onto there. And you can see those holes all line up. And I use the same screws. Hold on, I have to push that pin in. Let's push those 2 in for the moment. There, that lines up better now. Can you see it? The pins were holding it proud. So I use the little Euro screws that I've got, 10mm by 5mm. So I'm going to put them on. I keep them in a little secondary holder here so I don't lose them. And they're a Phillips head screw, I think. There's 3 of them. I'll bring one over so you can see it. I'll bring it in close. There you go. That's a little Euro screw. No point on it. And these are the same things I use in my dust extraction to get rid of the static. Well, talking about that, I had some person make comment about all the things that were wrong with my workshop. Well, good on him. And he was saying you can't ever use PVC piping because of the spark problem with it. Well, you can see on mine, I fixed it. And if people don't believe me, try it yourself. Run your arm up against one of the side of my PVC pipes. You will not feel anything. The hairs on my arm stay flat. There's not a problem whatsoever. I've got to put this screw in here. Unfortunately, you guys can't watch this part. I'll put the other 2 in. Okay. How's the chat going? I might have a quick look at the chat while... Greetings from Argentina, watching you on Saturday night. And Carl, no dirty eggs, much cleaner with the screws down. Tim, how close to the fire line? All right. Although we have no... All right, okay, so I'm guessing you guys are talking about the state, California and so on, with the bushfires over there. I'm hoping that's not an indication for what we're going to get. I'll show you closer up. Now, I have... That is the new face on my table. And you can see there's the screws. What do you think of that? What camera did I get? I got another Logitech webcam. I think it's a 922. It's still full HD. I didn't go a 4K. There's a 4K camera out there that they brought out. But I was reading some of the reviews, and some of the people weren't all that happy with the 4K one. So I passed on that and I went with this one. And I'll tell you what, I'm so happy I did. The brightness is easy. You can see my pine top here is actually pine. It hasn't gone pink. It hasn't gone any other stupid color. It's just, yeah, with earthing, exactly right. I'm just reading at the same time over here. Now, let me see, what have we got? I'm going to slide that in, and the great thing about the Dominoes, you get one of the bars in first. See that I can rock everything around, and I slide it up until it gets to the next point. And now I push it in, and it's locked. How nice is this machine? All right, and I always leave this on. Now I need the depth. Now I'm going to quickly have a look at how deep that's going. I need to adjust the height now. We're going to go 18, so I'm going to raise that up to 20 and have a look at how much of a plunge it's doing. I reckon that's pretty good. So on 20 millimeters to the center, this is actually, that plate there that I made is actually 10 millimeters thick. So that makes it easy for me to read the things scale down the side, because the 700 is different to the 500. So if we're having a look here, bring it in nice and close. See how that says 20? The thickness of this is 10. So where it says 20, that's telling me the center of where the cutter is going to be coming out, not how thick the timber is going to be. On the 500, it tells you that it's going to be how thick the timber is. On the on the left-hand side, on the scale, it tells you to the center of the cutter. But this one only works off the center of the cutter. All right, now that I've got that done, I need to set the plunge depth. Now, these guys here aren't extremely deep, and this is 18mm MDF. Now, I don't want to go all the way through. I would like to get a purchase of, say, 15mm. So I'm going to slide this, and I'll bring it back over so you can watch. Okay, what you're seeing here, this is on 15, and the other side is on 35. So I'm going to bring this one down to there. 35 and 15 is 50mm. So I can push it between, and it's not going to go any further. These are positive stops. I dropped it because the thing's so heavy. There you go. Backwards and forwards. Backwards and forwards. Okay. This guy here, while we're having a look, see on the top here, it's got a tight and a loose joint. I can switch between at the moment. At the moment, it's on tight. I'm going to leave it there. Now, that tightness is nothing to do with the thickness of the domino. It's always going to be thick, so that thickness. So my pieces of timber or wood are always going to be perfectly in line on the joint, unless I step it away for whatever reason I want. It's just the width. So if I'm bringing two pieces of timber together like this, I can make my first domino very, very tight on both sides, have all of these tight, but all of the receivers on the other side a little bit sloppy, so as the timber comes down, it doesn't catch on a shoulder. So these little things are great. Okay, this guy I will measure with my tape. That one is 38mm. So 38, I don't want to go in, let's say I'll go 15 from 40, pardon me, is 25. So let's go 30 millimeters, will be deep enough. So I've just moved it down to 30, and has to stay there, of course. Yep, that's fine, beautiful. All right, so what do you think of the different format, guys? I'm going to do a little bit of reading soon, but I just thought if I'm showing you something straight off at the beginning, it's going to make it a little bit more interesting rather than getting bored and going, oh, I have people say I don't want to watch a talking head, and I get that, I understand. All right, next thing, coffee. There will be some talking head later on, but it'll be interesting talking. Believe me, it will be nice. Now I'm using, on here, I'm going to use the Stanton bench, and thank you so much to everyone who's getting the plans. I hope the bench goes beautifully for you. It's such a great bench. I love it. It's so easy to use, and you can use it anywhere, as I keep saying to people. You can throw it on a kitchen table. It's not going to scratch it. All right, now I need to put the joint together. So how I do that, and I explained this in one of the videos the other day. I'm going to get a pencil so that you can see what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that this pencil, that's a 2H, that's not going to be good enough. Do I have an HB here? I think I do, but I don't think it's on the table. I thought I had everything covered. I'll use an art line. I don't care that this is a laundry marker, or I don't know what you guys call it in the States, but I'll bring it over. Excellent, very clear. Patreon is good for Dave. Oh yeah. Thank you so much. You know, if it wasn't for you guys in Patreon, I'd probably give this game away. It's just, it makes it worthwhile. Now there's my joint there. So I'm going to do this as a right angle butt joint. I'm going to go into there. So what I do in that situation is like so, and like that. Basically that's my face, and this is my edge. Now, as I showed in the video the other day, I do this. So I'm going to put a circle there and a circle there. Now, what's that for, do you think? That's where the domino is actually going to go into the timber, that way and that way. And doesn't that save a lot of stuffing around? Unbelievable. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Right, now to do this one first, I'm using this little stop here. I'm using the track. I think this is a rockler or a kreg. I think it might be a rockler track in the top. And I'm using the stop that John made for me. These things are brilliant. Look at that. It slides along to wherever I want. And the ones that Kreg make, let me have a look here. These guys, these are the heavier ones that you can buy off the shelf from Kreg. They only work in their heavy duty tracks. They will not work in their mini T-track. So, Yellow Box Shed, go and see what he's got. These things are fantastic. I said to John, I can't do it. I need something. You needed to make me something. And he did, just straight away. All right. I shall move this along and pop that in there. And then I can hold everything in position with this guy. Like so. And I'm going to check that I can get it all on there, which I can. And even with the Perspex screen here being elevated, because that's where my etchings are on, so I can line up my joint, in the casting, in the zinc casting down there, you can still see there's a mark there for me to reference from. Now, I'm not going to get that out at the moment. That way, that way, and that way. That one goes there, that one goes there. Now I need to put a bit of a finer line across the joint. I'm going to do 2 in here if I can. So I'm just holding it there for the moment. I'll put 1 here and 1. Push that down. There. That's where my joints are going to go. And you'll see here, there's the lead for the domino, and it's plugged into the CT26 down there. And you know what? I'm hoping that it's going to work this time. Remember, I had an issue with one of the leads. This is a good lead, so we'll hope that it's going well. And the new dust hose, these are the old Planex hoses. Festool's changed the style of hose they're doing. So this is super flexible. The other ones were a little bit cranky, and they were corrugated and they used to catch on everything. Now, ages ago, I did a video on putting a sleeve over the top of one of these hoses, and it worked okay, but I found the end was coming off all the time, like it was starting to slide back down the hose, and it was becoming more of a headache. But these ones, they've been vulcanized on. And these, I don't know what happens if you cut your hose, what you can do. There might be some tape out there that'll work with it, but there we go. Slide that on. All right, now, I noticed also last week when I did this, the noise, it does get noisier when I turn this on. So you might want to turn your sound down in a minute, but I will be wearing these, and you notice down the bottom, another pair being given away. And here's something else. Here's a heads up. If you are international from Australia, like if you're in the UK or in Europe, be aware that you will probably be charged VAT that you'll have to pay the courier company. There's nothing I can do about that. I've spoken to all of the people who are supplying prizes for me that are going out internationally, and you know, even if they put on a gift or whatever, people are still getting hit with a tax. So if you don't want to get, I've covered a few of them, so if you don't want to get covered with tax, I'm not going to do any more, it's sending me broke. If you don't want to get hit with the tax, don't enter the competition. In Australia, you'll be fine. These things are internal in Australia. You won't be hit with anything for import duties. It's just there's one of those messy things that's happened with us being able to send things around the world. Governments, taxation departments and all that are wanting to not miss out on anything. And I understand that because the poor old retailers within those countries are getting upset. And I understand that totally. So be aware, competition is down there. VAT and import duty, correct. So you might cop a fair whack of cost. Now the thing is, balance that out against how much it would cost you to buy these. So all you're doing is paying the tax. So let's say the tax is 20%. If you were to go down the street, and let's say, for instance, we'll work with round figures, $50 to buy these, Australian. If someone was to offer you them for $10, would you do it? That's what you've got to consider, because you'll get hit with $10 or maybe even more, depending on what the rate is in your country. Now that I've said that, going into the competition, I'm even giving you 5 entries per click. So that gives you better chances. I think it does. All right, I'm going to now turn the machine on. As I said, the noise, I'm turning the machine down to half on the dusty, and this will make a little bit of noise. So fingers in ears or turn your sound down. Got to make sure it works first. Beautiful. Go to 30 millimeters. Go 25. I went past 28. I went past its limit of 28. That's what that noise was. Move it to there. It started to wobble around a little. That's fine. It's down to 25. And I always start the machine up. Remember the noise again? I'm going to do a quick check in there, make sure we're right. 6 mil. Beautiful. And that one. Good. I don't see it would have been an issue. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a touch. Whoop, that's a great tight fit. I'm going to give it just that little bit more. Beautiful. All right. So there you see, we have the dominoes. I guess warranty replacement might be an idea, John. Okay. It's just a heads up for people that enter, and then, you know, it takes the edge off, and I totally understand that. I reckon it's, you know, it is what it is. Can't help. Now this one, I've got the mark here, so I'm going to spin it around this way, and I love this bench. I'm going to slide it down to 15 millimeters now on the side here, so it can't go through further. A little bit of noise again, guys. Whoop. Takes a little while to get used to these now and then, so you pull it all the way back on and then slide back onto your specs. Turn it on. Done. That's the other side. Pretty easy. And now, I need to work out which way is going which. So they're going to there. That's my face of my edge mark. I do sometimes put a P here as well. What was that, Darren? You cut each side of your mark, not on it. Okay, John Lafferty, you didn't do it at the mark place. Hey, Dave, why did you select the 700 over the 500? I'll answer that question straight away while we're doing it. I've come from construction, so roof frames that have got 8" by 2" and central beams, you know, laminated timber beams that might be 3.5, 4 inches wide, sometimes 6 inches wide by a good 18 inches deep. You know, these things have massive spans. And the Domino 500, the maximum depth it can go in is 28 millimeters. So, you know, you don't really want to be using these little guys on things like heavy door construction. Like if I was to build an entry door that was maybe 1 meter wide, you know, 39 inches wide, and a lot of glass, I wouldn't want to be using these guys. I would want to be using the big fellows. This is a 12. This isn't a big one, but just to give you a rough idea, this is small, very small one for the 700, and this is the 6 that I'm using at the moment. So you can see 2-ton snap factor, 1-ton snap factor. Penetration is huge with these things. So that's why I did it. Here I was thinking I was going to do all these things in the garden. I was going to build a rotunda, you know, beautiful big kind of bandstand, I should say, thing in the garden here as an area that we could have family come and we would set up a nice table in the center. I was going to have a chandelier hanging from the inside. Like, I mean, I'm crazy. But I think big, and I enjoy doing that because there's a saying, aim for the stars and you might shoot the top of the telegraph pole. Aim for the top of the telegraph pole and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. That's something I've been told since I was this tall. I'll get to be that tall again one day, I'm sure, because I'm shrinking. That's why I did it. No codes to go into the giveaway. Bigger is better sometimes, but the thing is, none of that eventuated. I came out of that phase of my life, and the 500 is fantastic for things like stuff in the joinery shop. I need to move this slightly forward. It's been vibrating. Look at that. I nearly lost it. I'm going to put a clamp on there. Now you might wonder what I'm talking about. I have a piece of plywood spanning between this bench and the table saw. And when I was using the Domino, it's a little bit of vibration coming through, and the plywood was sliding back off, and the camera is sitting on top of that. I'm going to fix it. That would have been a tragedy. I'll bring it over a little. Yeah, it ain't going anywhere now, buddy. No way. No way, Jose. I love this camera. Thank you so much, everyone. Patreon is so important to makers. If you know of someone else that's a maker that you love watching their channel, I really do encourage you to support them through Patreon. If you like what they do and you want them to keep doing it, there's only so much time that you can do this kind of stuff, and then you start to wear thin. I hope not to wear thin ever. I love doing it. But I'll tell you what, the fact that I can get some dollars coming in and push it back into this show and give you things like this new camera is fantastic. You know, thanks. I can't say thank you enough. There you go. Now, where was I up to? Now I need to know which way the joint's going to go together for the pocket holes. I'm thinking I'm going to put the pocket holes, the pocket holes for the screws, I'm going to put 2 here on the face as well. Now this is 18 millimeter material, and here's my pocket hole jig. I won't use the Foreman. I'll move this down here out of the way and get the dust back off there. I love this extractor. and we'll put it to off. And I'll pop it back on that. How good is this? I love it. All right, now we need to have a look what's happening here. I need this back on here so it doesn't go anywhere. Got it. I just love it. It's all fantastic. Now this is 18 millimeters. I've got my wheel here, and I did tell everyone that there's an app. I don't even know if we're going to get to anything else today. We will have a look at the other stuff. I might leave the dado stack go. For anyone who's interested, the Torquetta stack that I got looks to be fantastic. It has a scribing blade and also flats on the outside cutters, and they were my concern with the other one that I've got. So I haven't done it yet. I was going to do it today, but I think I'll leave it. I might even do a full-on video on it, or we'll do it next week. So be aware that that's going to come. But you know, from what I see, I love it. Wayne Jones has got one. He was the one that said to me, Dave, I think you'll really enjoy this stack. The whole thing is to get a nice clean cut in the bottom of the dado, as clean as I would get from my router table. And that's a big call. That's a huge call. I have heard someone say that they were having trouble getting the stack onto their arbor. You know, I jump around a lot, don't I? I'm supposed to be doing this. We'll keep talking about this for a second. And the problem with that is that mine is a 5/8. You may have had a 16 millimeter. So this is actually a 15.9 hole in the center of this stack. So all of the blades have got a 15.9 millimeter hole. 16 millimeters is going to be too tight for this stack. So if your saw has got a 16 millimeter arbor, forget it. Tell you straight away, it's not going to work. Well, from the measurements, 0.1 of a millimeter is actual thickness. Where was I up to, David? I'm doing that, so I'm going to do that. And I need to set it all up according to this. Now, I did say there was an app. I've come back to this if you didn't realize. There is an app, and we're going to look at this side of the joint. See that? How clear is this? Yep, full video. Okay, sounds like I will do that. While you are thanking people, Dave, thanks to the people purchasing my bench dog items. Amazing. I'll be printing ASAP. Should be out of hospital tomorrow and start running my new on mobile device, and no thumbs up option seems available. Never did or use one, something on the to-do list. Only if your saw will take one. A lot of the small machines won't take a dado stack because you need a long arbor coming out the side. And on the smaller saws, it's not advisable because there's a lot of mass. That's a massive flywheel spinning around under there. All right, back to this. This is 18 and 18, which is close enough to 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to spin it 3/4, 3/4. And it says 3/4 inch jig setting, 1.25 inch screw. See here? How easy is it to read? So there's my kind of joint, and then 3/4 to 3/4 because I'm using 18 millimeters, which is very close. I could go to 5/8 for 5/8, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stick with this one. How good is it? Oh, Wayne, thank you. Thank you very much. That's great. It stops me in my tracks. Anytime someone... Yeah, I told you, it does mean a lot. Okay, 3/4 inch, and I want to set the drill bit also to 3/4 of an inch. So I've done this before on a heap of videos, so I really don't need to show you around it. I've set the collar here, and we set the shoulder of the drill in the jig here to work out the depth. I do know there's other companies that you don't need to do any of this with. It's an automatic thing. I think it's the... oh look, there's another one. Carl's got the jig, so we'll go with that. I need to open that up, so you can ask Carl what type he's got. Block that in there. I'll put the drill in here. I want to make sure you found the thumbs up. Good on you. Is the other side of the wheel in metric? No, the other side of the wheel is a flat joint. See that? It's just it's a T, not a right angle joint. Handy wheel. But again, I've got an app on my phone, and also I keep it on the computer. I showed everyone where it is on Facebook. And I think also in one of the previous shows, I've put a link to it. So if you go back, if you go onto the other channel, in the Show More button down the bottom of this video, you see it says Show More, and then slide down there till you get near the bottom. I think it says the other channel. That's where I archive all of these shows. So you go back through those and you'll find it. I think I've put it on the heading. So each show will have archived, and then what the show is about, and that's where I try and keep them. If I leave them here on this channel, it just becomes bogged down and no one can find anything. I should really find a better way of finding things. Now I need to make sure that I'm putting these pocket hole screws in the correct position. So I'm going to put one, let's say, yeah, why not? I'm going to go right out on the edge here on the limb. There we go. Just a little rough mark. I'll show you where I'm going to put them. I'm going to look for leverage right out on the sides here. These are going to hold the joint steady and also let me glue if it was melamine, because the tenon, the slip tenon, will accept the glue perfectly all the way. I know there is a thing called melamine glue, and I could use that, but I'm going to use this. I'm going to put my pocket hole screws there on the outside, and so it's going to pull in there and there. That's the whole thing. Alrighty, that way round, and I'll go into that one there. Got it. This is going to make a little bit of noise, guys. I'm going to turn the drill down to second gear. So you might want to turn your volume down. Ready? I haven't got the dust port running. It goes in there. I haven't got it running at the moment. That's all there is to it. The other one over here. There we go. Now, moment of truth. This is the great part. A couple of those dominoes, and I've got them there. And we'll see how it goes. I'm going to put one in there and one in there. We'll see if the joint goes together to start with. Hopefully it will. Ah! That is just beautiful. Now, if anyone is wanting to make a joint that is absolutely perfectly flush on the outside, and there is no step there. I'm telling you now, there's no step. It is beautiful, and they're about the same. I freehanded a little bit there. So I'm going to put the kreg screws in there to pull this joint together. Will the festool hose connect to the dust port on? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. But you need to have another little connection. So yes, it will, and no, it won't. I'll get it. I'll grab it, and I'll be able to show you. And I'll get a couple of 1¼ kreg screws at the same time. This is down the other end of the workshop. 1¼ inch, 1.5 inch. It's got to be 1¼ there. Oh, they are. Put them in the wrong side there. Oh, there's the thing. I don't think I've got a kreg screwdriver down here. I might be very, very lucky. Having a look here. You know what? Lucky. No, that's not it. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Ah, there it is. I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it. You guys talking like... Oh, get it out of there. I've been swinging curtains up in the house. Tell you what, that was an experience too. I'll do a video on it. The reason being, the curtains I put in aren't just a couple of holders and a bar with rings and you just pull them back. These ones, I built the pelmets. I'm actually planted, this is where this is from, this is the leftover. I planted MDF on the wall because going into architraves, I find you have to go very close to the corners and the edges and into the mitre, and it always stuffs things up. So I put a plant above the architrave and I put the track up there, and these tracks are designed to open and close. But the thing is, one of the openings I had is 4.5 meters wide, and they don't sell tracks that are that long. So I go through the whole process. I will show you how to rethread the cables, how you have to go and buy new cord, how it pulls apart, how it locks together, and it's very, very well done. And it's the cheapest bloody things I've bought in my life, but they're fantastic. And the result, the temperature in the house, since I put these up with pelmets over the top and a valance, makes it look really nice. All of these things Vicky bought from China. So the curtains she got made over there, they posted up, unbelievably cheap, and they look fantastic. Anyway, I'm digressing again. That's coming. Now here we go. That's where all my gear is up in the house. So this is the dust port. There we go. That's the dust port, and the Festool hose will not fit onto that. What I did was I got one of these. Now that's a section that comes, it's longer than that, it's got a little thing on the end and another little one there. So it slides over that perfectly. And then my Festool hose will go onto there, like that. That's how I do it. Porter cable, okay. So this way, no, it's the same size, it's not going to work. Right? That's how I do it. As if I'm doing a run of stuff, a little bit like this, not going to concern me. More coffee. All right, let's do it. Take this one out. Put this guy in. And I'm going to set the clutch down pretty weak because this is a strong drill. All right. Glasses on, glasses off. There we go. It's doing that thing that they always do. It wants to lift it up as it's penetrating, because if you're not aware, kreg systems only put a hole in the part that you're applying to the receiving member, not to the other side. Done. Done. Now those, I normally would have that in the back of a drawer or on the drawer front. So then I'd put the drawer front over the whole thing if I was doing a drawer. But how good is that? And strong, it's so strong. There we go. All right, I'm going to get out of this part now and swing the camera around, and we'll do some of the other stuff. We'll have a look at what other people are doing. Put the camera over there, tip it up a little bit. About there, should be okay. I'll come around this side. Okay, so we've been mixing it up a fair bit today, and I might even bring that camera in a little bit. Down to about there, and a little bit more tip down. Just a little. There we go. I love this camera. Thank you so much. All right, what have we got? I'm going to check out what's on the show today. Today is the 26th of August, and Sunday 10 to 12 in Australian Eastern Standard Time in Australia. Tim G is going to show us around his backyard shed, and we'll do that right now. There you go, Tim. You don't have to hang around after this. You can shoot off. I'm going to stay quiet.
All right, so this is Tim's workshop in the backyard. You've got the door, and you walk in. You've got the grinder. You've got all the plastic containers, spare parts. I've got bits and pieces. I've got paint storage down underneath. I've got screws, nuts, bolts, storage for my power leads, ladders. Then I've got a couple of hand tools hanging up. Then I've got the radio, power supply, power charger. I've got all my chargers for my backfill drills, a bit more storage. Then I've got the mower, step ladder, and then I've got all my type handyman type bits and pieces for when I used to run a handyman service and still do bits and pieces. All my plumbing, painting, sanding tools. Storage all at the back. That half of the garage is storage. It's a two and a half car garage space. Then I've got some storage racking with all my bolts, nails, screws, cup hooks, fasteners, bits and pieces. You can see the pipe coming down from the dust extraction with the new blast gate, with the hose coming down underneath to the box, which is the collector for the power saw on the new bench that I made. It's a sheet of 1800 by 1220 90mm MDF on the frame that I made. Oops, sorry. Compressor, bits and pieces, the old bench that I have, power in for the workshop, the phone. I've got the stand that I put my laptop on. Then I've got the box that my grandfather made years and years ago, which is nails, screws, bolts. I've got a bit of spare space here. I've got my drill press, a couple of model boats that I built that I was doing some work on a while ago. Then I've got the dust extractor up there that I made, the collector, and then the main dust extractor is the one in the back there. Just some more storage in that area. Pipes come across to a splitter. Then I've got a blast gate with a hose up there, which I'll eventually connect to my sander, and I've also got it that it can connect to my 8-inch drop saw, slide compound saw. I've got plenty of wood storage in the back there. I've got plenty of wood storage all up the back there, all the way across the shed. I've got all my bits and pieces up there, clamps, more wood, all the way in the roof. There's the other blast gate. I've got my bandsaw here, which is I've made a little outfeed table for. You can see the on-off power thing for my dust extractor, which is just turns the power point on and off where the dust extractor is. Then I've got the wet dry vac with the dust extraction that I did use with the cyclone that I made. Hose going up with the blast gate of more connectors up to my system. And yeah, my workshop. Bit of fun, good little area. I love it, I enjoy it, and yeah.
Okay, how is that? Isn't it great to see around someone else's space? Now, Tim is in a situation where he's not able to get around as much as he used to, so he's had to back off from what he was doing. He was a very active person before, had an accident, and now he's had to slow down a lot. So that space is everything that he needs at the moment. Of course, we all want to strive for more, but his situation isn't allowing him to right at the moment. So thank you very much for sharing that with us, Tim. That's fantastic. I've got another workshop to share with everyone next weekend, and it'll be a bit of a contrast as well. So it's always good to see the different types that are out there. But thanks again, Tim, for sharing that with us. Okay, so wood dust is in the link below. You're correct. Now, there was a question earlier regarding Russ Albright. You asked me a question. I'm going to slide back up to it, see if I can find it. Shouldn't the pocket holes be on the inside, not the outside, Tim? Oh no, I think other people have mentioned that. I always try and put them on the outside, because if it's a drawer, the back of the drawer is inside the cabinet, disappears. And on the front of the drawer, I always put a drawer front over the front, so that hides it. So that's the best place to put them. Otherwise, they're inside the drawers and they look horrible. Let me see if I can find that question. Russ. New more ergonomic Festool hose adapter. Yes. Thanks, Time, for taking to answer the question. Oh, Russ, I've got to. Yes, it will. Yep. Okay, so I've done all that for you. Okay, where are we up to? Sliding down. Barry Doxy, thank you. Thanks, Dave. Tim, yep, not a problem. Tim, you certainly packed a bunch of stuff into your shop. I was also asked, does the chat go over to the other channel? No, it doesn't. What happens is the chat is on this show, and even if I was to edit this video a little bit, the chat disappears. So, you know, that's just how it works. Next thing. We're moving along quite well. Wow, that domino demonstration took up more than I thought. The Eyemuffs giveaway, it will be one of these ones this time. So put your entries in. The link is in the description box. There's only 5 days left, and a warning for people that you know that if it's overseas from Australia, you may get hit with a VAT. Machine switches. You saw the video I just did yesterday. I pulled this out. Now this is what's called a no volt switch. So inside here is some kind of a coil, and if it loses power, it shuts. It's a magnetic switch, I'm guessing. It shuts that off, like click, automatically, and no more power. So you can't turn it on and off from a power point. I did replace it with a 2-pole or 2-post switch, whatever you want to call it, and it switches the neutral and the active. Now I expected a whole lot more responses from electricians, because I understand it's treading on their sacred hollow turf, or hallow turf, and I got some very good responses. I was very happy with what happens. I did put at the beginning of the video a warning: don't try and do this yourself, try and get an electrician to do it. Now I can't come around there and hold your hand up behind your back and tell you not to do that and actually stop you, but I show you how to do it. But I still do advise you to get someone who knows what they're doing as far as electricity is concerned to do it for you. A licensed electrician, and Stephen Wallbank did bring up the point that, you know, if your house was to burn down and they traced it back to something you did with your switch on your dust extractor, no insurance. So I do let people know for a reason. Okay, so that's great, and it works so well. I did see some Alex switches in Bunnings for people that are in Australia. It was about $17 for a single, and a 3-pack costs around $40. And it runs off the one remote. Look, Tim G, Domino, and Kreg Joint, second channel needs subs. Oh yeah, please, get over there. I want to get that channel up to 1,000 or more. Then the channel can start doing things for itself as well. At the moment, it's just kind of hanging on like a limp arm that doesn't work anymore. So if you can subscribe to that channel, it'd be great. There were people making comments in the description box, or sorry, the comments in the chat down the side. Lost it. No, gone. We'll move on to something else, and I'll remember as I go through. I'm sure I'm not the only person this happens to. Okay, now Carl and his dog love to watch the show as well. Here they are watching the show. And look at him sitting in his little bed there. And there's Dave on the show. That's crazy. Okay. Let me see what else have we got. Andrew Monks, of course, over in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago. He was watching the show out there. Why would you watch the show when you've got such a lovely marina to look out the wall there? You did ask about wood dust, and there is descriptions down below. Old timers cutting, indeed it is, Tim. So you've got, that's happening in October. Have a look down the bottom there. And I saw this picture on the web, and I thought, man, oh man, what a beautiful old home. Look at that. Does anyone know where that is? I don't. I have no idea. And now we've got some pictures here from Jeremy Carter. He sent some stuff in. This is his dust extraction port that he jeremied up from some bits and pieces. This is a port to go underneath, and he's got, collects from the collection area under the blade and also from above. And I think there's a picture coming up there it is as well. So he says he's cobbled that together in the meantime while he tries to find a better situation. That's brilliant. I love this kind of stuff. Keep on sending photos in to me. Photos of what you're doing, pictures inside your workshop, or a little video if you want to, just like Tim did for us. And now we've also got Stu Cotterill. He's made a beautiful Moxham vise. How good is this? Yep, double pole It is indeed, it is. That's answering one of the questions there on the side. The Munsters home, or the Adams family, and more on Stuart's Moxham Vice. He did place these photos on the Dave Stanton live stream Facebook page. So if you're interested in seeing this stuff, you must answer a couple of questions, and people that don't answer them, nope, gone. You know, so I don't just let anyone in. It's kind of a closed group, and everyone in there gets on very, very well with each other. I think I have just about everything covered there. Munsters, yep, thanks plenty from Tim G. They're all saying what a great workshop and a space he's got. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for the moment. Keep on coming back, watching the show. The videos that I put out, I try and get them out as much as possible. I've got a couple coming up. I want to start mucking around with the software. I've just about the software on the CNC that's from Aspire, or from Vectric, the Aspire program, which is just so easy to use. I can't believe how good it is. And I've also got a little program that lets me show what's happening on my screen at the same time. I can flick between the screen and myself while I'm doing that, so it won't be this surrounding, it'll be up in the workshop, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I want to do some stuff on that. I've got some other videos I want to get done. I want to do a tool review very soon on the Carbotech planar thicknesser, the benchtop model. You probably know that this would be my third one I've had. I had two before. The first one I had for ages, and I had a customer come into the store and said, and we had none in the store to sell, and because we'd sold out because it's such a popular machine. He says, I need it tomorrow, so I sold him mine as a second-hander, and then I bought one to replace it, and by the way, his is still going brilliantly. And then I bought one to replace it, and then I bought the big fellow, and I wanted another smaller one again, because the smaller one's just so handy for doing smaller pieces of timber, you know, for about 12 inches long, 300 mil, very, very easy. And, you know, I'd like to do a review again and actually run timber through it this time. So there we go. I think that's about it, guys. So we need 2-hour show. Possibly. Let me see. Barry, Tim G, great show as always, Dave. Once again, thank you for the offer to show my workshop. Very much appreciated. Well, you're famous now, Tim. You'll be able to walk around the shopping centre and people rush up for your autograph. Steve, thank you Sue, thank you for the time and enthusiasm you put into the show for us. John, Larry, thank you again for a great show. Tim, great workshop. From Michael, David B actually came for the data, to be honest. Thanks for the show, I appreciate it. It's a lot of work. Look, I'm going to do the video on the data, and as I say, the torque header, if even without turning it on, that's the one I'd buy. You know, that's for what I want. I think it would do beautiful box joints. There you go. I can't give you more of a wrap than that. Okay, Luke, the house was the Carson Mansion in Eureka in California. Okay. Steve, thanks again. Great show. Rob, hi, thanks Dave, always interesting. Bruce Myers, it's too late now, but I wondered how you handle the vinyl coming loose off the Festool track saw. I don't. It hasn't come loose. It's great. I didn't even know that people were having issues with it. You know, I've got two of the saws, the TS55 and this guy here, and nothing comes off them. I look after my gear though. I don't throw it around the back of a ute and have it smash into things. They go into sustainers when I take them on site, and otherwise they're staying out here in the cupboards. So there you go. Double pole, single throw switch. I would never think to call an electric chicken to wire it. Well, there you go. There you go, Carl. I have to be careful. That's all I can say. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we shall see everyone next week. Look after yourselves. Have a great week.